Hello, good morning. Welcome back to another episode of Tea Time with Mary. I am your host, Miss Mary Lou, and today we are going to be doing our first ever baking with tea time. And I'm not talking about whatever pastries, I'm talking about putting tea into little bites of baked goodness. We're gonna make Earl Grey cookies! But first, let's drink some tea. It's tea time.
It's tea time with Mary.
So let's talk ingredients for our Earl Grey cookies. You will need 2 cups of all-purpose flour, half a cup of sugar, half a cup of powdered sugar, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 2 tablespoons of Earl Grey tea leaves, about 4 to 5 bags, 3/4 of a cup of tea butter, more on that later, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and 1 tablespoon of almond milk or any kind of milk that you like. For equipment, you'll need a baking sheet, a large mixing bowl, a food processor, parchment paper, a rubber spatula, a sharp cutting knife, cooling racks, and your good old-fashioned hands. Now, I've done a lot of research, and the best way to get a true tea flavor is to infuse your butter with tea. It's super easy. Let's go. The general proportion is a 2-to-1 ratio, or twice as much butter to tea. I'll be using 1 cup of dairy-free butter for the sake of my tummy, and half a cup of Earl Grey tea leaves. This will yield about 3/4 of a cup, which is just what we need. In a small saucepan, combine the butter and the tea and turn the heat on to low. Let it melt and stir it over the heat for about 5 minutes, then turn the heat off and let it sit for another 5 minutes before taking it off the stove. Strain the mixture into a smaller container, pop it in the fridge, and you have some delicious magical goodness ready for later. And now back to baking. Baking, because that's why we're here. Great. In your food processor, add the sugar, salt, and tea leaves, then pulse until pulverized. Add the flour and continue to pulse until it's evenly mixed. Then add the room temperature tea butter, vanilla, and almond milk, and then pulse that until the dough starts to form. Using the spatula, dump the batter into your mixing bowl and knead it just until it comes together and the bits of flour disappear. Take half the batter at a time, place it onto a piece of parchment paper and form into a log before wrapping it up and storing it in the fridge for a half an hour. This is a great time to preheat your oven to 375 degrees. Retrieve your cookie log from the fridge, unwrap it, and slice into discs about 1/3 of an inch thick. Place a piece of parchment paper on a cookie sheet and line up your cookies. Pop them in the oven for 10 to 12 minutes, rotating the tray halfway through. When the centers of the cookies are set and no longer gooey, take them out of the oven and let them cool on the cookie sheet for 10 minutes. Hang on, I know you want to eat them, but you have to wait. Once your 10 minutes are up, transfer them onto cooling racks. And there you have it, the most awesome Earl Grey cookies for your most awesome tea parties, which are every day. Cheers!
It's tea time with Mary.
Thank you so much for watching another episode of Tea Time with Mary. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and I will see you next Tuesday. Bye! This is wine.